What's the difference? Phonics rules versus phonics generalizations. This video series was designed to help you understand the similarities and differences between some of the terms we use in the field of literacy and how to use this knowledge to support your learners. Today, we're going to talk about phonics rules and phonics generalizations. Now, if you've taught reading or spelling in any capacity for more than a couple of years, I am sure you have heard this said. The English language is full of exceptions. But I would question, is this entirely true? Well, it depends on how you view and therefore teach the English language. The difference comes in teaching phonics rules versus phonics or spelling generalizations. Now, this difference is very subtle, so I hope I can make it clear in this video. Phonics rules seem to state something about language that is absolute or always true. For example, when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. Now, while there's nothing inherently wrong with teaching this to your learners, after all, it is a clever rhyme, it does seem to imply that this is always true. When you see two vowels side by side in a word, the first one will always do the talking and the second one is silent as it just walks. And the English language is full of vowel teams that follow this rule. Another phonics rule you may have heard is silent E makes the vowel say its name. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong necessarily with teaching this to your learners, but it does carry with it the idea that this is always true. When you see a silent E at the end of a word, its role is to make the vowel long. And again, the English language is full of examples that follow this rule. We've got can, not, and cut, and they become cane, note, and cute when the silent E is added. But there is a problem here. If we state or if we teach phonics and spelling rules as absolutes, I think we do come to one conclusion, and that is the English language is indeed full of exceptions. And this conclusion makes it seem that English is very unpredictable. Rules, after all, are just meant to be broken, right? Enter phonics generalizations. Phonics generalizations state something about language that is generally true. For example, while our phonics rules stated silent E makes the vowels say its name, a phonics generalization would state sometimes silent E makes the vowels say its name. And while it may seem like I'm splitting hairs here, there is a difference. Stating a generalization leaves room for other spelling patterns. Silent E, for example, doesn't just have one role in the English language. Now, here are 3 quick tips for using generalizations. Try to refrain from stating absolutes. Just simply adding the words usually, typically, often, or sometimes onto a phonics rule gives you wiggle room that you don't have if you state these as absolutes. Another tip would be look for patterns. So when you come across a group of words that don't fit the phonics or the spelling generalization, look for patterns in the words that you find. So the words have, love, give, and glove, for example, all have a similar pattern. Notice they all have a V followed by the silent E. And while the silent E does not make the vowels long, these words follow their own generalization, which is the English language typically doesn't have words that end with the letter V. All right, a third tip would be explain why. And while the English language is more predictable than one might think, it is helpful to explain to our learners why certain words seem to follow the beat of a different drum. Now, there are several reasons for this, but let's just take a quick look at two. One reason is that the word has a foreign origin. So the English language has adapted many words from other languages and cultures. Ballet has a silent T on the end based on the rules of French. The CH in cord makes a hard K sound based on the patterns of the Greek language. And tortilla has a different pronunciation based on the rules of Spanish. So these are not originally English words, but we've adapted them into our language. Another thing to keep in mind is that pronunciations have changed over time and with our location. For example, in America, most people say this word as ben, while those in the UK say bean. Now, to be fair, I must admit that some phonics patterns are extremely consistent, and we can get away with teaching them more as rules versus generalizations. Two quick examples of this would be the U that comes after Q and the 1-1-1 rule when adding vowel suffixes to words. Now, if you're looking for more resources about phonics generalizations, I've got an older post called Helping Spellers Make Phonics Generalizations. I also have a phonics and spelling cheat sheet folder if you need to better understand the generalizations for yourself. The links to these are in the description below. Another helpful resource is my playlist on YouTube. I have a playlist for adding suffixes to words, and I have a tricky spellings playlist. And in both of these, we explore phonics and spelling generalizations a little more in depth. Thanks so much for joining me at This Reading Mama, where you'll find hands-on learning for home or school.